Hello everyone, welcome to the fourth lesson. Let's start with preparing the file. Click Create Shapes from Vector Layer and split it into layers. Group the separate objects. Pay special attention to the body. As I can see, here we have some irregularities. You should always compare with the illustration provided by the illustrator. Perhaps there could be some flaws. For example, like here with this stick. I see that it's behind now. Let's move these layers up. Now everything is great. We can also adjust and round the stick. Great. And I see that here there are many points. We can optimize it because we will animate these curves. And I see one more thing on the olive. I think we can fix it and remove the unnecessary points. And also, it's worth drawing the stick from scratch. We do this for our convenience. I want to show you that illustrations which you get are not always that suitable for animating. That's why you should always prepare and study the file. Let's see how it looks in the original. Set the picture. I simply draw this stick and the shadow anew. We draw the shadow, and let's draw the end of the stick. Let's set the color, like in the reference. And now we can delete the reference. We're done with it. We have prepared the part with the lemon and can merge it into one layer. Let's name it Body. Make sure that your hierarchy of layers is the same as mine. Like this. So we can proceed with animating the body and make the imitation of a 3D rotation. For that, in the Extra tab, we click Path Keys to set all the keys, which will be animated. Let's create an auxiliary ruler. Using guides, set it in the center. Select Paths, click Command T or Control T, and with Shift Command pressed, you can ensure a proportional scale. We don't need guides anymore. And now we adjust the lemon. In the 3D rotation, its thickness should be preserved. Thus, using the additional points, I create the thickness. Let's have a look. It looks great. Let's move on. And let's do the same thing with the olives. The thickness should be preserved. Double-click on the points on the olive and make a proportional scale. Great. Let's adjust the spot of light. And some other elements. The end of the stick should be closer to the center. and also adjust the shadow. In this case, the shadow will be more rounded, and we ensure that it seems that the stick is inside. Position it in this way. Also, we can adjust the curves on the olives. Make sure that everything is smooth and well-rounded. Now let's adjust the toothpick and move it back to the center. For convenience, we can draw an auxiliary line that will be used as a vector. In this way, it will be much easier for us to understand how we should position the toothpick. Let's set the color red. Let's make such a line. Make sure that the toothpick is positioned exactly along this line. Let's have a look. And I see that we can adjust the second olive. Now double-click on the point and adjust the width of the olive. Let's adjust to the edge. Also, the back layer is the black fill that should be adjusted too. Here you need the skills of understanding how objects behave in 3D space. At the beginning, you will be acting intuitively, and later you will develop the skills of doing it correctly. So practice every time, and you will gradually become better at it. If you don't know how to position the object correctly, find the references. Alternatively, the easiest way is to use the real objects as references. Find an olive, then pierce it with a toothpick, and look at the objects. Let's adjust the light. The most important thing to remember is that while rotating, it's a good idea to preserve the same size of the spot of light and avoid any deformations. Let's adjust its thickness and move the black parts to the very edge. In this way, we can achieve a good 3D rotation imitation. Let's adjust the black fill, and we are done. Let's proceed with the next object. It's the drink. Using the pen tool, we select the points. I want to separate these layers. It's the filling of the glass. Using motion tools, I select the points, click extract, and the necessary layers are displayed. Great. Now we will work with the glass. So as you can remember from the previous lessons, a good rule is to level the glass, because the illustrator depicted the inclination. We don't need the inclination. In Crazy Shapes, on the Extra tab, we select Path Keys. Set it on the first frame, and on 1 second in the first frame. Select all points and adjust using Command-T or Control-T. Here, keeping Shift Command or Shift Control pressed, we adjust the bottom. Let's hide it. Now, using the pen tool, select the points and adjust them downwards to ensure that they touch the bottom. Let's do the same with the upper part. Let's select a point, select the upper points, click Command-T or Control-T, keeping Shift Command or Shift Control pressed on Windows. Let's displace like this. In this way, we create the imitation of a 3D rotation. Let me remind you that you should not complicate your rigs too much. In this case, the best way to achieve the desired result is to use paths. You can do it with other methods, using expressions, but I strongly recommend you to look for the easiest way, because it will save time. As a rule, clients want everything to be ready as soon as possible. It's my workflow, and it's the most suitable workflow for me. And let's also adjust the visible part of the bottom. So when we move it downwards, the spots of light will look like this. So in that way, we will visualize the bottom of the glass. By this point, we have seen only the facets, but I want the bottom to be visible too. Once again, I do it intuitively. It's my vision. You can do it differently. I mean that you can add more spots of light or add new facets, for example. You can do whatever you like. So I have created the rotation of the glass. But I need to adjust the last frame. Now it's inclined. So I use the rulers and guides, set it in the center of the glass, and also the second guide is exactly along the bottom of the glass. Now straighten the glass. Select all points and press Command-T. I've made the rotation. Let's move on to the filling of the glass and adjust it to match the reference. Excellent. Now let's animate the separate parts. I want to make it right away. During our previous lessons, I divided it into separate stages, like rigging, then animation. In this case, the animation is pretty easy. And we can do it right away. Now let's animate the upper part of the liquid. And I use scale for that. Remove the chain. We will work only with Y. We make a compression, and now we adjust the bottom part of the liquid using paths, like this. We make a loop with Alt pressed to apply the ping-pong effect. Back and forth movement. Also, adjust a piece of ice in the last frame. we get such an animation. And I like it. Great. Now let's create a mask. To do this, we select the bottom part of the liquid and duplicate it. Name it Mask. Move it downwards and edit it like this. Adjust it at the edges. And set the color red. You can select any color for it. It doesn't matter because we will hide the mask. All that matters for us is the shape. Go to Effects and Presets and click on Set Matte. Here we select the mask, and we paste the same in all other layers. Let's bind the bottom part of the liquid. Make the animation of rotation. From -15 to 15. Now I can adjust the shape of the liquid in the extreme points, in the maximal angles. I adjust it to ensure that it looks good. For example, like this. Let's have a look. What do we have here? I see that it doesn't look that good. For this reason, I adjust it to match the angle. Please note that we need accurate rounding. And the same here. Let's watch the animation. It looks great. Using the decay tool, we make a loop. Let's move on the timeline. And look, it's really nice. Now everything that we need is to attach it to the animation of the glass. So let's move on to the binds. And bind it to the drink. Now let's move it underneath the drink. Excellent. And also, we will do the slider rig for the drink. Now the animation is attached to the slider. Remember that you should do it with Alt pressed. Keep Alt pressed and click on the slider rig to create the slider right on the layer. Excellent. Animation of the glass is ready, and the rig too. It's really good. Now let's move on to the body legs. Here we need to split it into layers, and I see that we need to separate the liquid. Using motion tools, we select the point and extract. And we do the same with the liquid in the background. Let's have a look. Excellent. We have separated the liquid from the glass. Let's have a look. Now we need to remove the black fill. Let's move the liquid downwards so that it's underneath the body legs. We see that it's covered, so in the body legs layer, we need to remove it. Double-click it and delete it. Delete the straws as well. So body is ready. I don't do the 3D imitation here, because there will be many movements here. For example, the liquid, the reflection of the straws, so 3D imitation is unnecessary. I also want to create a mask for the filling. I will find the necessary group and remove the unnecessary objects. Let's have a look. Go to this group, and I see that we should keep only this path. Name it Mask 2. We can hide it. Now I bind the liquid to body legs. Let's color the mask in red for our convenience, and hide it. For my convenience, I set a color to the layers to differentiate between the groups. Let's move on to rigging the leg. I'll use crazy shapes. Further, using the pen tool, select all points and adjust them like this. Click Path Keys. Set on the first frame and on the last one. Here we manually create the bending of the straw. Make the bend on the first frame. Select the points. Move the anchor point to the left and make rotation in this way. Now select the points to the right and set the anchor point to the left too, and adjust it so that it's aligned with the left part. So they should be on the same level. Let's increase the amplitude even more. Let's repeat this step again. Move the anchor point upwards like this. It's enough for me. As you see, we have an interesting bend. It's fine for us. All we need to do is to adjust the behavior of the object. Here I adjust the end of the straw just like this. Because when bending, the straw will be on the floor. Thus, when touching the floor, it will be deformed. And now I intuitively deform it like this. Imitation of the foot for the straw. Now let's adjust the lines on the bend. Excellent. And also we adjust the spot of light. Let it merge with this spot of light. Now let's watch the animation. As you see, in the first frame, we need to align the straw. But at first, I adjust the spot of light. And let's proceed with the final position. For this purpose, I create the guides. Make sure that everything is at the same level. And I adjust it a bit. Excellent. In the last frame, straighten it to match the line. It's way easier here. Just manipulate with the tangents and adjust it using the guide. Adjust the lines on the bend. And also adjust the spots of light. And let's have a look at the result. Excellent. Now we can proceed with the slider rig. Select the layer, click the plus, and set the created controls at the beginning and at the ending of the straw. We can delete rulers and guides. Like this. Select one of the controls, or both of them, and click the slider rig. Now in length in and length out, we make the correlation. The controller should be here. Excellent. And now I move the same controller here, and I see that it should be somewhere here. It's slightly away from the right place, thus a little bit farther. And we see that when the controller goes outside the animation, nothing happens. It's exactly what we need. Now let's duplicate the leg. Select two layers and click the plus. We have created a new layer. We can delete leg 2. Now we need to assign another color to it. It is the last group. And select the color. As far as I remember, it is the same pink color as of the liquid. Name it leg 2. Now we can place the legs underneath body legs. As you can see, the animation is already running. It's really good. Place it. And adjust body legs so that it's in the center. Excellent. And now I adjust the controller of the blue leg. So that they are at the same level. Also, let's adjust end like this. Excellent. My congratulations to you. We have finished preparing rigging. We have even moved further and animated the glass. It's really good. Now move all the layers to the right places For now, I delete the animation from the slider rigs and set them to the original values. In a way, it was in the illustration and move the elements to the right places. But before that, let's attach head to body. Attach drink to head. Move body. Now move drink to the very top. And center it. Move it to the very edge so that it barely touches the head. Set the anchor point at the bottom of the layer. Repeat the same with body. And on body legs, set the anchor point at the center, because we want to make a special animation of rotation. Now the only thing to do is to attach the controls, start part 2 and start part 1, to body legs. Excellent. The rigging is ready. So we move on to animating. I animate the slider rig, set the key at the first frame, and on the 15th frame, set the value to 50. We set the amplitude to start with. It's possible that in the future, we may need to change it. Press F9. And using decay tools, we make a loop with ping pong. With Alt pressed, click on the loop. Done. Now let's make the animation for the glass. Let's do the same from 0 to the 15th frame. Here, set 100. From 0 to 100, move drink underneath head. Adjust it so it's right on the edge of the head. And now apply F9. Smooth the keyframes. And again, make a loop keeping Alt pressed to make the animation. Also, don't forget that the mask should be attached to the glass. Make sure that you bonded them. Move mask slightly upwards, as it was in the reference. Attach mask to drink. We should have done this at the very beginning before adjusting the positions. Okay, I like the animation. And I think that we can move on. Let's proceed with the animation of the legs. For this purpose, we'll use the decay tool. Now let's create walk rig. Click the controller and then the point. Select the corresponding points. I mean that if it's the upper part, the upper leg controller, you should select the upper point in decay tool. Don't confuse the points. Select body legs and click on body. Excellent. Click gallery to see different walk cycles. Select the one you like. I think that strut walk would be perfect for this animation. Click on it. If you did everything right, the animation will start. You can notice that now the legs are too far away from each other. So let's simply adjust them using the arrows on the keyboard, keeping Shift pressed. Like this. And the character starts walking. It looks really cool. Let's set all speed to 100 and see the result. I think that setting 200% for 2 seconds will make the animation slightly slower. But it's exactly what we need. Because our character carries the alcohol, it should walk slightly slower. In this way, we try to convey the mood. Yes, I like this walking speed. And don't forget to adjust the legs so that they move proportionally. Look at the first second and at the first frame. If the legs are proportional, they don't go too far away from each other. You did everything right. Okay. Also, we can try to increase ease in out for X to ensure that the leg moves fast. I mean this moment. Let's watch it. As you can see, it's too fast. I think that we should set it to 100%. Now in body legs, we already have rotation, but I want to implement my vision of this animation. That's why, keeping Alt pressed, I click on rotation and delete keyframes. Now in the first frame, I make the rotation to the left, in the second frame to the right, set a high amplitude. In this way, it will seem that the character is dancing. Also press F9 and go to Speed Graphs and make such a graph. In the Assist tab, we make a loop, keeping Alt pressed so that you have a ping pong effect. Let's watch what we got. It's quite interesting. But I want to speed up this rotation so that we get a dancing effect. So by increasing the motion frequency, I get such a result. It's really good that it coincides with the 2-second duration, so our cycle is ideal and continuous. So now I want to attach body to position, but I won't use the conventional method, because I need to bind only the position by Y. That's why I make such an expression. I set such values: value 0, value 1, and plus Y. Y is the value for position of the body. In this way, we have bonded only the Y position. If you used the conventional binding, you wouldn't succeed. Let me show you on the example. I adjust the layer. And now let's make an ordinary binding. I disable the expressions, and now watch what's happening. The rotation is applied. We don't need it. Let's revert. Excellent. Of course, you can do it differently by applying the conventional binding and compensating the rotation to the other side. In this case, everything will stay at the right place. But I have decided to demonstrate an alternative option to you. Okay, after all, I will increase the amplitude. Initially, it was 50. Let's increase it. Now we need to experiment with the movement frequency and moving on the timeline. Let's watch. What does it look like? It looks interesting. In body legs, I animate position to ensure that body moves back and forth. Like this. Press F9, apply loop. I also want to make a curve to ensure that the movement is not at the straight line, but at the curve. Let's do that. Select Pen tool, and such a curve would be perfect for us. Let's watch. Excellent. This reminds me of real dancing. Super. It looks awesome. Preview it. Make sure that you are content with the animation. And now let's proceed with animating the rotation of the body. I adjust the slider. Now let's preview it again. Let's try applying time reverse keyframes. And animate the rotation. Approximately -10, 10. Press F9 and apply the loop. I think that we can revert the frequency to 15 frames. And now let's move on to head rotation. Simply copy the animation of the body and do the same with the drink. Now, when all the keys are in one place, we can experiment with moving the frames. And see the result. This skill requires some practice. That's why at every lesson, we will be repeating it until you learn how to find right places on the timeline. For this purpose, you need to recall our first lesson about the balance, how it works, and practice. Let me remind you that all you need to do is to move the objects on the timeline. Don't be afraid to apply time reverse keyframes and move again. And make sure that your balance is correct. You should always do it based on your intuition. At this point, I'm quite close to the result I need. I see that I lack something. I still need to find the right places on the timeline. Let me move head even more. Now I use only the glass as a reference. I move the keys in a way so that the glass is more or less in the straight vertical position and that it's compensated with moving along the timeline. Let's watch the animation of body legs. Yes, it looks bad. Let's move it on the timeline for the rotation of the body. Again, use the glass as a reference. Let's try applying time reverse keyframes. I want the glass to stay straight or close to 0 position on rotation. And let's move it on the timeline on the 3D rotation imitation. After moving it along the timeline, it looks way more fascinating. Excellent. Now we can proceed with animation polishing. I will also create some additional elements. For example, I want drops to appear after the movement of body legs. For this purpose, I draw an ellipse. I find the edge point, draw an ordinary ellipse. Make sure to turn on Bezier path. If you didn't, it's not a problem. So just animate by position with the specific curve. This is the falling of the drop. Draw a speed graph like this, and remove stroke. So at this point, there's only shape. And move the first frame. Let's watch it. Yes, I'm quite content with the animation. Let's name it water. In Crazy Shapes, in the Extra tab, select Reset Shape and click Path Stretch. Let's unselect Elastic Toggle. We have gotten an interesting animation of the alcohol drop. Excellent. Adjust it to the edge of the animation. And now we need to duplicate the drops. Let's find where the floor is. the drop should hit at this place. That's why I made one of the legs visible. And now we need to set a route. The second drop will fly slightly further, so let's move the last point to the right. Also, we can use guides to see where the floor is. Excellent. I think that we need the third drop. Firstly, let's cut the animation so that the final drop disappears. Excellent. Duplicate it. And the third drop will fall closer. We made such a randomization. Let's have a look at the result. It looks awesome. I like it. Let's set the same color as of the alcohol. And see the result. It looks fascinating. Let's add one more frame, because the drop disappears too quickly. Now let's move on to animating the liquid. So we have path, and usually we use effects for such things. But we can make use of a more interesting solution. It's waves on paths in crazy shapes. Let's set wave amplitude to 5. In the Style tab, set round corners so that everything is rounded. I think that 12 will be enough. And now the most important thing that differentiates it from all other tools is that you can limit the wave's impact on the shape. You can do it using the limiter. To illustrate it, I increase the amplitude, for example, to 21. Go to limiter. If you start moving the start, you'll see the result similar to trim path. You can see that it starts limiting the impact. Now in the End tab, we move it to the opposite side. And in this way, the wave will be only on a specific part determined by me. You see that it's a unique tool that has no analogs, and it's very convenient for such solutions. We'll consider all other settings more closely during the next lessons. Let's repeat the same with the second part of the wave. Let's draw it. Since we applied waves, the shape has changed. So let's change it like this. Excellent. I like it. Click Waves on Path. And I can simply copy Waves on Path and paste it in this layer. Now we need to set the limiter. Using Offset Path will be enough. like this. I think that it will be better to make it on the opposite side. So set wave's speed to minus. In this way, the wave will be directed to the opposite side. Excellent. Let's watch how they look together. It looks really cool, but I decreased the amplitude to 10. Super. Now let's make the animation visible and watch the resulting animation. It looks really cool. We have created an effect that reminds us of splashing of the liquid. It perfectly conveys the mood. Okay. Now I want to show you one more effect. We have already used it during our previous lessons. It's compound arithmetic. We'll use it to make interesting reflections and other things that require a high number of layers and duplicating of objects. For all that, we can use specific combinations of effects. So if you apply solo and select leg, nothing will be displayed. Because in the solo mode, compound arithmetic doesn't work. That's why we select ARGB. If you remove leg 1, you will see that it's now visible. I have removed leg 2, and you can see that the leg is visible in the reflection layer. Let me remind you that there is nothing in the reflection layer. Duplicate compound arithmetic and select lighter. Excellent. That's how this effect functions. Let's copy. Command X or Control X. As you can remember, we created a mask. Now we need mask 2. Again, we should have attached it to the glass. But it's not a problem now. Paste compound arithmetic into it. Now use set mat to make the legs visible within the mask. Now apply transform. And move the legs to the right place. Now I apply the mini max effect to make the legs wider. Since the reflection is affected by the refraction of light. The straws seem to be thicker than they are. I move the legs even more upwards. I move set mat to the very bottom of the hierarchy. Now we need to adjust the position of the mask and bind it to the glass. Let's find the right position for it. Somewhere here. It will be convenient to do it here. Attach it to body legs, and using the arrows on the keyboard, I adjust the position of the mask. Excellent. Now I can move the mask underneath the glass. So I placed the legs in between. So I have the waves in the front and in the back. So I have placed the legs in between them. I increased the thickness even more to 10. And let's see the result. It looks really cool. And we did all of that only on one layer. In this way, our work was way easier, and we could avoid the chaos with the layers. It's simple and convenient. Now I duplicate the drops, set them at each frontal movement of body legs, set the right positions on the timeline, as I see, now the drops start moving earlier than they should. This position on the timeline will be perfect for us. Set the layers to the necessary positions. And in the final position, press Command or Control D and set it to the beginning, so that the animation doesn't end abruptly. Excellent. So the animation is ready. My congratulations to you. The last thing to do is to add a black background. So my congratulations on finishing this lesson. In the next lesson, we'll learn some new techniques. That's all for today. Thank you, and see you in the next lesson. Bye.
Hi guys, and welcome to the Homework 4 review. I have a lot of submissions, and I want to remind you that once I have 20 of them, I'm recording the homework reviews. In the lesson 4 I got 30, which is great. And let me show you the main issues you have while doing this homework. So first of all, body arcs. Let me show you. As you can see, this part moving back and forth, but without any arcs. And as I remember, I showed you that you should include the arc to the body. In that case, your animation will look much better. As you remember, we have Disney principle number 7 called arcs. And that means that the objects that moving with the arcs are more pleasant to the eye. And you can see it, the same rectangles that moving from A to B, and it's very noticeable that this rectangle is much more pleasant to the eye because it's moving with the arc, and I can prove it. Okay, so if you see in your animation that you for some reason skipped to add the arc, please do it, because your result will be much better. Another issue is the legs jump. So I draw the floor, and if I play the animation, you can see that our legs jumping for some reason, and I know the reason. It's because once you made a limb, just count how many pixels it has and make sure that your controller's not moving too far from your lens. In that case, your legs will not make the jump effect. So if you have this jump in your animation, please fix it, and we are moving to the next one. And the next one is drops. For the next one, I think I need to explain it more because we need to talk about the physics. So I prepared some example, like the guy throwing the ball. So let's play it. As you can see, the speed of the ball is follow the speed of the hand. And how we can understand the speed of the hand? Like easily just count the difference between this frame, the position of this frame, and the next one. And this difference will be your speed. With this speed, your ball should fly away. To understand this, I made opposite example. The guy throwing the ball and the speed 0 at the beginning, and then it starts flying away. So of course we have a weird feeling about that. So again, let me show you. This difference will be your speed, and when the guy is throwing the ball, this difference will follow the next frames, and at the end the ball slow it down and we see the arc. So the same happening here. Imagine our body is the hand and we have some speed when our body moving, and the body is throwing the drops. Let me explain you one more time, so you probably understood that we should count the speed of previous and the last frame, and we should keep it for the next frames. In that case, everything will work properly, like we follow the rules of the physics. And I prepared another example. So our hand throwing the rectangle, and as you can see, everything is not perfect here because I need to fix the speed. So for example, our ball starting with the 0 speed, and at the end everything is perfect. For that I made a loop out continue, and what this expression doing is just found the difference between previous and the last frame and keep it for the next frames with the same speed. So it's pretty similar to what I did here. In our original animation we have something else. You may notice that our body have the easings, and in this frame we have almost 0 speed, and if we will follow the rules that I explained here, it will not work. So this is the case when we should make the feelings, not the actual physics. So just play the animation, and if we feel that energy is the same as the body, so the speed is the same. Actually, if we start to look closer, like frame by frame, you can see that it's not like the same speed, but when we play animation, we can feel it. In this case, just follow your feelings. And this is the great example that sometimes you should break the rules, and this is artistic animation and you are the authors. In this example I can feel that we follow the rules of the physics, and this is amazing. If we can feel it, then everything else is not very important. So again, if we look closer, the speed is different from the body, but we can feel it here. So amazing. Play around with the drops, try to make the feeling that the drops like flying away with the same speed that the body made, and you are done. Let's move to the next one. And the next mistake that you have is the leg width. So just increase the leg width, and as I explained in the previous lessons, more amplitude, more pleasant to the eye your animation. And the next one is face emotions. Many of you just skipped this part for some reason, and I strictly recommend you to add emotions because humans like emotions, and if you add them, your animation will be even more pleasant and you can understand the mood even better. So in this case, just add some crazy drunk emotions and it will be much better. The next one is flat 3D. So here you can see that at some point our object starting to be flat, and I can't feel that it's real 3D. So it's like a flat image that rotates in 3D. I showed you in the tutorial how to make it better. So if you see that your objects for some reason are not like 3D, you feel that they are like flat, please fix it. Okay, so it's the main problems. Again, body arcs, legs jump, drops, leg widths, face emotions, and flat 3D. So if you have seen these mistakes in your animation, please fix it and send me the new versions. And let's go one by one for every animation. So here you can see leg widths and the drops. As you can see, our amplitude of the body is very low, but for some reason drops moving with the like very fast, and the energy is lost because body has a little speed and the drops have a very fast speed, and I can feel something is wrong here. Okay, again, here I can see that it's not like real 3D. I can feel that it's flat, so add more depth to this object. Okay, the next one, I see that the GIF is damaged. I can see that you don't have the arcs on the body and the legs are jumping. No emotions on the face. Also, again, you have a fast amplitude, a fast speed on the body, but drops moving very slowly. So keep the energy for the drops. In this case, Outer added a background, so please don't do it. I've explained it many times that you should keep the design original. So just leave the black background. I like the animation on the lemon, like real 3D 360 degrees rotation, nice, but at some point I can see that your olive is a little bit flat, you know, so just play around with the path and keep it 3D. Okay, the next one. In this case, I can see that the drops appear from nowhere. Also, this olive is a little bit flat, and many of you have this mistake. So make it more width to this olive. Again, I see the little jump on the legs, fix it. Everything else is great. In this example, fix the middle lemon. It's too much frequency now, so just make it double times slower. I like the arcs on the body. Everything is great, but again, the drops a little bit weird. You have the problems with the physics, so the speed at the end should be very fast. But for some reason, it's slowed down at the end. In this case, you should add the arcs on the body, and I think the offset on the lemon. In this example, the stretch on the drops should be everywhere. In this case, you should keep the stretch for all drops. Everything else is great. In this example, I can see that something wrong with the offset, so keep it like that. So you should have the arc going back and forth. Right now it's something strange, and the drops, the design of the drops, a little bit weird, so make it better. And I can see that the legs are moving down a little bit, so just draw the floor and fix it so the legs will be always at the same position. In this example, I like the face animation, but please work a little bit on the design. At some points, the mouse looks weird, make it more pleasant to the eye. Also, I can see some shadow can be done better. Please add the body arcs, so it should be like that, back and forth with the arc, and in that case your animation will look much better. In this example you can see that the body has half of the arc, and it means that you should work on the offset between rotation and position. Also good job on the rotation, but I think you can add more amplitude here, and please add Z rotation also. Nice job on the emotions, and you should work on the drops also. They are squeezed for some reason. You see, they should be round. This animation is perfect. Nice job on the drops. Everything is well balanced, and very nice job on the emotion. I can feel that this guy is very drunk and he is like singing some favorite songs. This animation is amazing. Thank you. And we jump into the another one. In this animation you have the damaged GIF. Please fix it. And the drops starting not at the right time, so please fix the start of the drops. Everything else is perfect, also very well balanced, but please add the emotions to the face. This example has different dimensions, so please keep 1080. In this example, you can increase the distance for the drops, so your arc will be more interesting. Right now it's like squeezed a little bit. And for the body, you can also add an arc. In that case, it will be more interesting. Also, this olive is a little bit flat. In this example, everything is almost perfect. This olive is a little bit flat. So increase the rotation amplitude for the body and it will be perfect. And another interesting example, everything is well balanced. I like the animation and how the drops moving back and forth. Also good job on the emotions. You can add even more amplitude for eyebrows, so your face will be more noticeable. And I can see some gap between lemon and the body, so fix it, because right now it's like flying. So in this example you should work on the offsets for the body and body position and rotation, so you will have the arc. So in this example you can see that you need to add some body arcs, so fix the offset between position and rotation, and also fix this little thing for the bottom of your legs, and also add emotions. And I think the drops are moving a little bit fast, so decrease the speed. The next one has problems with frame rate, so make sure it's 30 frames per second. And dimensions also not 1080. So everything else is great. Add emotion to the face. Let's move to the next one. Good job on the drops. Good job on the emotions. You even added some additional elements here. Great. And everything else is perfect. So good job. The next one also very interesting. A lot of drops here, I like it, but you have some problems with frame rate, so it should be 30 frames per second. Also, good job on the emotions. You can even increase your emotions so they will be more noticeable. Also, great example, but you have some problems with the legs, so draw the floor and keep the legs like on the floor so they will not move through the floor or jump. So make sure everything is well balanced. And also the arcs, you can increase the arc for the body if you don't have it. The same situation here, but in this case I can see that decrease a little bit this part and everything will be perfect. So right now it feels like this olive is growing, you know. Okay, nice example. Everything's perfect. Yeah, a little bit you can fix the glass because at some point it can fall on the ground. So maybe work on the head, add some minus rotation to the head so it will be well balanced. Everything else is perfect. In that case, you should work on the legs. As you can see, you have some problems for the width, so it happens sometimes. So you need to align the legs. They will have the same width like that. Right now you have a little bit different. So you can see the difference. You have something like this. So fix it by moving the controllers at the middle of your walking cycle and find the right balance. Just compare with the first frames. And once you found the balance, just keep it and your animation will be fixed. The next one is amazing. I like the 3D effect, like olives overlapping the lemon. It gives even more depth to the object. Amazing. And maybe you can decrease the drops. They are a little bit large. Everything else is perfect. Maybe add the emotions also to the face. In this example, we have the same situation, like you should align the legs. So compared to the first frame and the middle of your walking cycle, make sure that the width is the same for the second and the first positions of the legs. And it seems it's a little bit unbalanced. You should fix these legs, so when you move it to the right a little bit, everything will be perfect. And make emotions a little bit more recognizable. In this example, you should work on the drops. Remember what I explained at the beginning for the energy and speed. And I can see that the lemon, you can add more 3D effect, more amplitude, and also the arc for the body. And please add the emotion to the face. This example, we see that you have skipped the position for the body. You should add arc movement back and forth, and in this case your animation will look much better. Add emotions and maybe more speed for the legs. In this example, everything is perfect. I like it. only emotion on the face. So please add emotions to the face. In this example, we can see that you need to fix the leg difference. Also drops a little bit fast comparing to the body movement. Slow it down, the drops, and everything else is perfect. Add emotion to the face also. In this case, author made some running cycle, but you need to draw the floor. So right now, like, legs almost disappear. So please keep at least some gaps on your screen. And I think you can improve the head animation, so add at least some emotions and maybe decrease the amplitude for the bounce. Also, the drops are a little bit large, so decrease the drops, and drops appearing from nowhere right now, so they should appear from the bottom. And I suggest you to add rotation and some arcs to the body. In that case, it will be much better. Thank you guys for watching, and see you in the next lesson. Bye bye.